Hi, everyone. I'm Annie Jean Baptiste, and I lead product inclusion at Google. Product inclusion is all about bringing an inclusive lens throughout the product design process, and I'm excited to share a little bit about how we've been doing that. First, I just want to welcome you to the session. This may be a newer concept for you, and so I hope that it's helpful, but I'm super excited that you're spending the time to learn about product inclusion today. Before we get started, I just wanted to level set and have a shared framework around what we mean when we say product inclusion. Product inclusion is about building, designing, coding for everyone. So no matter who you are, where you live, what you look like, we want to make sure that you feel thought of in the entire product design process and when you pick up a product or service. And so at Google, we want to make sure that we're bringing that inclusive lens throughout everything that we create. So the first thing that's really important to think about is really how this ties back into Google's mission. And so we talk about organizing the world's information and making it universally accessible and useful. It's really the universal piece that we're leaning into in product inclusion. And we say not just for some, for everyone, right? So I talked a little bit about some dimensions that we think of, but it's really important to make sure that everyone is thought of in the process, and especially those who have been historically underrepresented in the product design process. Now, this work builds on a lot of great work, namely accessibility work and next billion users work. What happens with product inclusion is that we actually look at 12 dimensions of diversity and the intersections of those dimensions. What I mean when I say the intersections of those dimensions is that users aren't in a silo, right? They don't have one thing that makes them who they are. And so it's really important to think about everything holistically when you're building products or services. Using myself as an example, I'm a Black woman. I'm also left-handed. I'm not Black on Monday, a woman on Tuesday, and left-handed on Wednesday. All of those things are encompassed within me, affect how I move through the world, and definitely affect how I use products. And so we want to make sure that we're thinking holistically about all of those dimensions when we're building. So on this slide, you're seeing a few of the dimensions that we look at. Again, we look at 12, but things like gender, age, ability, education, socioeconomic status, and more are really integral into making sure that you're asking who else and really broadening who your users could and should be. It's also really important to note that there's a lot of untapped opportunity when you bring an inclusive lens and really center those who have been historically underrepresented. So what you're seeing on this slide are a bunch of statistics around things like purchasing power, digital usage, for a lot of the historically underrepresented groups that we focus on with product inclusion. So you can see stats as it relates to accessibility, right? There are 1 billion people in the world with a disability, for example, or you can look at 700 million users coming online in the next few years. It's really exciting that there's so much opportunity when you bring an inclusive lens, and that can really affect your business and being able to serve even more users. It's important to note that product inclusion is not just a one point in your process. It's really throughout the process, and the earlier that you bring it in, the better. So you can bring it in at ideation, for example, when you're starting to think of a product or service that may have an untapped opportunity. But what's really important is to highlight and understand what key points in the process you're going to kind of bring that inclusive lens. We call those inflection points. And so on this slide, you can see there are multiple inflection points where we've started to bring that inclusive lens throughout the process. And the goal is that the end result is more inclusive of more people. So next, I'm just going to jump into a few case studies to help you understand what our product inclusion journey looks like and how this can actually be put into action. So this first video is from a team that worked on camera sensors. And what they wanted to do was really ensure that they brought this inclusive lens and ensured all skin tones were accurately represented. What I love about this is that it shows that no matter where you are in the organization, you have a part to play in building for everyone and with everyone. So with that, we'll roll the video.
Pictures tell stories. It doesn't really matter if it's a selfie or if it's a portrait that somebody is taking of another person. You are sharing in that human moment.
Let's take a picture, you two. 1, 2, 3. No, he's too dark.
So this is where the discussion started.
Here, just use my phone. It's got a better sensor. Better sensor? What does that even mean?
Color tuning is an extremely complicated process. When we look at images, what we try to do is figure out how much of a difference there is between, let's say, a reference image and the image that we actually are trying to quantify. We were running some tests on a product, and it was the proximity sensor we were testing. And we said, oh, it looks like it does 60 centimeters. And we looked at each other and go, we're both white. The technology itself, as many people will say, is not racist. It's just that it wasn't tested properly to make sure that the designers weren't unconsciously biased. Hey, there's an entire world out there and we want to make sure this works for everybody. I love the fact that we get to influence cameras, that we get to share those experiences of life and emotion. And to me, that is what imaging is about. It is a vehicle to express humanity.
Take a picture of you two. 1, 2, 3.
The next case study I'd like to show you is with duo low light mode. What the duo low light team did was be intentional about bringing diverse perspectives to the table from the beginning of their process. At Google, we have what we call inclusion champions, who are Googlers from across the globe and multiple dimensions of diversity who have helped us dog food or user test our products. So the duo low light mode team knew that they wanted to make sure that no matter where you were in the world, or if you had certain lighting or you had light or dark skin tones, you were going to be accurately represented when using this video product. And so they worked with our inclusion champions to make sure that we tested across multiple dimensions of diversity, to make sure that, again, everyone feels beautifully and accurately represented and thought of when they use the product. Now, I'll go into a little bit of the research that we've been doing over the past year on the business case for inclusion. I hope it's helpful to start to frame what users and consumers are thinking about as it relates to product inclusion, but also how you can start to implement it in your everyday work. So the first piece of data that I wanted to share with you all is that there are 4 places in the product design process where it's really important to bring that inclusive lens. Those 4 points are the ideation, user research, user testing, and marketing phases. Now, a few slides back, I showed you an end-to-end product inclusion process slide where you saw multiple inflection points, or points in the process where you could bring product inclusion into the fold. That being said, when we did research and looked at a bunch of different teams across Google, what we found was that these are the 4 points where teams constantly came back to. And also, these were the 4 points where if you did bring an inclusive lens and were intentional about doing so, you actually disproportionately created a more inclusive product. And so would encourage you all to think about if these 4 points in the process make sense for your organization and how you can bring that inclusive lens to those 4 points. It's also important to just start to ask who else. So for example, if you're starting to ideate within your organization, maybe bring someone from another piece of the organization or another team into the brainstorming because they'll likely have different perspectives. If you're already doing user research, maybe you do user research internationally or with a different demographic than you usually do, right? These small changes can lead to really big results as it relates to bringing that inclusive lens. The second piece was that 100% of teams that brought an inclusive lens into their process did so at least 2 of the 4 touch points I just mentioned, right? So either the ideation, user research, user testing, or marketing phases, they did at least 2. So it may be the ideation and marketing or the user research and user testing, but they made sure that it wasn't just an isolated point in time, but that they were doing it throughout the process. And I think that that's really important, not only because you're starting to think holistically about your process, but also you can involve different team members and different organization members who have different expertise to, again, start to bring more perspectives that have historically been underrepresented into the fold. Another key finding was that both underrepresented and majority groups prefer inclusive marketing and product design. What does that mean? It's been a notion that only underrepresented groups want to see themselves reflected. And what we found is that that's actually not true, right? Everyone, or the majority of people, want to see diversity and inclusion, both in marketing and storytelling, but also in product design. And so I think that that's a big shift that we want to make sure that we think about. It's not just those who have been historically underrepresented, but it's actually underrepresented and majority consumers or users. The last finding that I'd like to share with you all is that teams, no matter their representation, that were intentional about bringing an inclusive lens, were able to do so, right? So regardless of the team makeup, and we talk a lot about, the systemic changes that need to happen in order to have representation and inclusive culture, that is incredibly important still. But even as you're working to get to that representation, you can start to work on product inclusion now, right? So regardless of the makeup, if you're setting standards, if you're holding yourself and your team accountable, you can actually start to make headway in building that inclusive product. So now I'm just going to go through 3 principles that we help to guide teams along their product inclusion journey. The first one is to address the user. So I showed you a few of the 12 dimensions that we focus on as it relates to product inclusion, but really thinking about what dimensions have been underrepresented in your process and bringing those into the fold. You want to address the users, again, asking who else, and continuing to expand the pool of who your users could and should be. The second one is to start with equity. So inclusion shouldn't be an afterthought. It's not something that comes in after you've actually created everything, right? How can you bring it in earlier on in the process and at multiple points in the process? Again, this doesn't sit within one team. It sits within all parts of the organization. And so how are you making sure that you found those key process points and you've brought the key stakeholders in to kind of help move that along? And the last one is to continually test. So just like any other part of your product design process, this needs to be iterative. You want to make sure that you aren't just checking a box, but you're constantly shifting, you're constantly improving, you're constantly getting feedback, just like any other part of your product design process. You want to make sure that you're learning, you're growing, and you're bringing more voices into the fold, and you're adapting as you're getting feedback, right? So this, just like any other part of your process, you want to commit to, you want to have standards and accountability frameworks for, and you want to constantly be improving. And so with that, thank you so much for joining the product inclusion session. I hope it was helpful and have a great day. Thanks so much.